What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another edition of the Triple Threat Show. As always, I'm your host, Mara Fatemi. For today's episode, we're going to keep it short and sweet. This one's going to be about one thing and one thing only. If you guys saw the previous video that I posted yesterday morning, go check that out before you get to this one because this pretty much piggybacks pretty well off that. If you're here from that, you know where you're at. Seahawks went up against the LA Rams last week or last night. It was honestly one of the craziest games I've seen in forever. Forever. I'm a Seahawks fan myself. So if you guys are Seahawks fans yourselves, you understand exactly where I'm coming from. If you're not, if you're just an NFL fan in general, you also probably can understand. That was arguably the game of the year. One of the best games we've seen in a long, long time. Easily better than the first matchup that we saw. So you're telling me a game where Matthew Stafford throws for over 450 yards. Puka Nacua goes off for 225 receiving yards with 12 receptions and 2 touchdowns. You're telling me they lose that game? Oh, and they were up 30-14 with 8 minutes left in the game? Let me break it down for you. Before I move any further, be sure to follow us here on YouTube. Follow us on all of our platforms, all Apple Music, wherever you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We're on Spreaker as well. Anywhere you get your podcasts, you guys can find our content below. Follow us on our Instagram at The Triple Threat Show, Instagram or TikTok at Boston Sports Takes. That's my page, or at The Triple Threat Show as well. We're everywhere you can find your content. So be sure to check out our pages, and let's just jump right on into it. So you're down 30-14. The Rams, the Seahawks jumped out to a 7-0 lead. Opening drive, dominant opening drive. Kenneth Walker with a 46-yard rush or reception, I should say. Reception. Jumps out. Zach Charbonnet scores a touchdown. Classic Seahawks. Rams comes back. They put up 13 unanswered going into half. 13-7. Third quarter, Rams dominate again. Fourth quarter, first half of the fourth quarter, like I said, they continue to dominate. Puka Nacua with another dominant touchdown. Sam Darnold looks all out of whack, throws 2 picks in the second half. It's a mess. It's an absolute mess. And like I said, 30-14 with 8 minutes left. I'm sitting there watching the game. I said, as I saw the clock trickling past under 10 minutes, I said, this game's over. They're not coming back from 2 touchdown deficit against the LA Rams in like the way that they're playing right now. And then you think about it. Here's the dynamic. Seahawks have to play the Carolina Panthers and the San Francisco 49ers as well. Those are 2 tough games, both on the road. They don't play at home for the rest of the regular season. They're 11-3 in an extremely competitive conference. If you lose this game, you might not win the other 2. You might be done. They might fall out of the playoffs. 9-4-1 is hanging by a thread as the 7th seed right now in the NFC as a wild card. The Detroit Lions are nipping at their heels. That would be the Green Bay Packers at 7. There's a lot of implications on this game. Sam Darnold, like we said in the last episode, Sam Darnold hasn't beaten the Rams in almost 2 years. Last time he saw him, he threw 4 picks. Before that, he took 9 sacks. This is a mess. This is an absolute mess. And Sam Darnold is not exercising his demons. He's not showing out there and proving the critics wrong. He's not rewriting his history, rewriting that label that he's trying to outrun. He can't get it off his back. The monkey that's been on his back for the last 2 years, that he can't show up in big moments, that he can't beat good teams, that he can't lead a team in general when they need him. But regardless, we'll get to that later. 30-14, like 8 minutes and 10 seconds left. The Rams are punting it back to Seattle. Rashid Shaheed. Seahawks traded for him at the trade deadline from the Saints. If you guys remember him, I believe it's his 2nd year in the league, or 3rd year. Very new to the league. He's had a bunch of kickoff return touchdowns, flat out. He's had at least 4. He's been a dominant figure. He's a speedster. He's very agile. He's really good at working the sidelines, bouncing inside and out, making sure he doesn't step out. That's what he did. And he takes a kickoff return for a 65-yard touchdown. Return for a touchdown. Okay. Seahawks go for 2. They knock it in. It's 30-22. Okay. Still not out of the wing. I still am not out of the weeds, but you give yourself a chance. Matthew Stafford gets the ball back. Quick 3-and-out. Seahawks defense steps up big. The last 10 minutes, Seattle's defense was everywhere. They deserve a lot of props for this. End up punting it back to Seattle. No, not another punt return, don't you worry. Sam Darnold marches him down the field. Ends up being a AJ Barner touchdown, over-the-shoulder touchdown. Sam Darnold with a great over-the-shoulder ball for a 40-yard touchdown. Okay? It's 30-28. You're still down by 2. You got to go for a 2-point conversion. Here's where things get funny. Sam Darnold, for the 2-point conversion, drops back and throws a sideline or a sideways pass, a lateral pass to Zach Charbonnet, or towards Zach Charbonnet. Goes off of Jared versus helmet, linebacker Jared versus helmet, and falls incomplete, it looks like. Charbonnet picks it up in the end zone. Okay, it's incomplete, 30-28. I'm sitting there, I'm saying, there's 5 minutes left in this game, or like 4:45 left in this game. That's it. Matthew Stafford's about to get the ball back. He knows how to finish games. He knows how to put games on ice. I don't care that Devontae Adams didn't play in this game. Puka Nacua was killing the Seahawks, and no matter who covered him, no matter what side of the field he was on. And like I said, it's still Matthew Stafford. The refs review it and call it a lateral, a backwards pass. I would just call it 90-degree angle, just straight sideways, but they call it a backwards pass that ends up going off the Rams helmet, and since it's recovered by the Seahawks in the end zone, it's a 2-point conversion. They end up calling that and tying the game at 30 points apiece. Sean McVay comes out in the press conference livid. I would have been livid too if I was the coach of that team. How do you make that call in that situation? This, that, and the other, that's a crazy rule. I've never seen that. And honestly, as a viewer, I've never seen that in the last decade and a half of football that I've watched. I have never seen a moment like that in a game like that. Never mind the moment, just to make that call in that type of situation with these two types of teams playing and squaring off with each other, the winner most likely going to win the division. If the Rams won, they would have won the division. You make the call, and the Seahawks tie it up. Stafford ends up going down the other way of the field, gets into a 3-and-out, and that's it. Ends up going to overtime. In overtime, it's still Matthew Stafford. It's still Matthew Stafford. He goes down the field, 40-yard pass, catch and run. It was like a 10-yard catch, taken for a 40-yard run for Puka Nacua to the end zone. 37-30. On the other side, Sam Darnold has one chance. Literally one chance to tie the game. Goes down, gets it to Jackson Smith and Jigba in the end zone. But you're telling me this guy and Mike McDonald has balls of steel, is just going to put balls to the wall and say, yeah, let's go for 2. He just pulled the John Harbaugh of all John Harbaugh. I haven't even seen John Harbaugh make a call like that. And that is the most John Harbaugh thing I've ever done. I've ever seen out of any coach. Granted, Mike McDonald comes out of that hierarchy. So I wonder where he learned it from. End up going for 2. Gets it to Saubert, the backup tight end. Eric Saubert, the backup tight end. And they get the 2-point conversion. Seahawks win. But you're telling me 30-14. The Rams were 323-1. The Seahawks were 0-172 when trailing by 2 touchdowns. And the other stat, it was being up by 2 touchdowns with under 10 minutes to play. That was one of the craziest comebacks we've ever seen. And to make up for it and to even just tack on to what we saw, it's not just about the game. The game was crazy. Those two teams played like it was a playoff game. But I wonder why they did that. I told you already, the Rams, if they won that game, won the division, solidified the division most likely. They didn't clinch it 100%. But granted, if they didn't lose the next two games against Atlanta and Arizona, they were going to win the division flat out. So the Seahawks were their last really true test outside of the Cardinals being a divisional opponent, which are always tough, but still. All they needed to do was go out there in Seattle and pretty much solidify it. Seattle's case, they go win this game, not only clinch a playoff berth for the first time in 3 years since Geno Smith showed up in Seattle and brought them to the playoffs in that game when they got bum rushed by the San Francisco 49ers. Granted, the Niners went on to play the Chiefs in the Super Bowl that year, but still, this Seahawks team, nobody expected them to even be in this situation. Nobody expected them to sniff eight or 9 wins. I thought their ceiling was 9 wins. They're at 12 wins right now with 2 games left to go in the season. They're at 12 wins. With this win, they not only take first place in the NFC West, they take first place in the NFC Conference for now. And I already told you they have to play at Carolina next week and at San Francisco to close the season. And that's exactly where we're going to go. This opens up the path for San Francisco to make a run at the NFC. The NFC in general. This isn't just about the NFC West anymore. This is 3 teams that are legitimately 50-50 neck and neck. 3 teams that can all win the NFC right now. All of them. Every single one has equal chances now. Everybody's on a level playing field. The Niners have to play Phillip Rivers and the Colts this week. They get the Chicago Bears, the red hot Chicago Bears, in San Francisco. And then, like I said, that last game against Seattle in San Francisco. If I'm a betting man right now, the San Francisco 49ers hold the edge to win the NFC. I'm being so serious in every way. That is how good San Francisco has been this year. Kyle Shanahan he's one of the best head coaches in football. We know this. But the way that he has been able to organize that San Francisco offense, the Niner offense, the way that they've been able to battle injuries on the defensive end. No Nick Bosa out there. No Fred Warner out there. No Charvarius Ward in the secondary, which was, if it was already thin back there, it's pretty much just rookies and second string guys that are just pretty much trying to figure it out game by game, day by day, plug in, plug out type of situation. If I'm the San Francisco 49ers, I am jumping up for joy that the Seattle Seahawks went out and beat the Rams last night. Because they hold all the cards. Brock Purdy has an opportunity to go out there, win the NFC West, clinch the number 1 seed, because it's most likely going to be one of those 3 teams, especially if they beat the Bears. The only team that has a real chance of coming up and being any competition for that 1 seed are the Chicago Bears at 10-4. And the Niners play them next week. That's going to be a crazy game. So we'll see how this all plays out down the stretch. The Niners have an incredible schedule. They have an incredible chance to win the NFC. And honestly, I might be crazy, but I'd call them, they're easily the best offense in the NFC. Yeah, I know that the Rams have Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua. Yeah, the Seahawks have Jackson Smith and Jigba. But you have Jawan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall, George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, Brock Purdy. And I didn't even mention Brandon Ayuk if he decides to play football at some point this year for the Niners. Granted, we know all the nonsense that's about him. They have a great chance to win this. They have a great chance to shock the world if they can go out there and win. They have to take it week by week. But let's just say Seattle wins next week at Carolina. San Francisco wins the next 2 weeks. That week 18 game is going to be, if you thought last night was crazy, wait for that. And for all you Seahawks fans, I'm going to bring up some traumatizing stuff because I hate the Niners for this reason. I despise the Niners for this reason. 2019, week 18, when I can't remember the tight end's name right now. It'll come to me in a second. But the Seahawks were literally in this exact same situation. Winner takes the number 1 seed in the NFC, wins the NFC West. And the Seahawks were literally 1 yard away from, I can't remember the tight, Jacob something. It'll come to me in a second. But the tight end was literally half a yard away from, if it wasn't for Dre Greenlaw getting his helmet in and knocking the tight end back, the Seahawks were literally a foot away from being the number 1 seed in the NFC. Go check that out if you guys don't know what I'm talking about. 2019, Week 18, Seahawks, Niners. Russell Wilson versus Jimmy Garoppolo. It was one of the craziest games I've ever seen to this day. We might have a rematch of that. We may have a repeat of that this season. Regardless, I brought this up earlier as well. And this is why I said, if you didn't check out this video, if you didn't check out the previous video from yesterday, check that out before you come here. Sam Darnold didn't have a good game last night. Yeah, he threw for 270. Yeah, he had 2 touchdowns. He also took 4 sacks. He also threw 2 picks. One of them should have been a pick 6. Granted, the Rams ended up scoring regardless, but it should have been a pick 6 in the third quarter. He did not look great last night. Seahawks special teams won that game. Seahawks defense won that game. So, if I'm looking at this team right now, yes, Sam Darnold did show out and he beat the Rams. He didn't show out. He didn't have his best game. He didn't have a horrible game, but he didn't have his best game. Went out there and beat the LA Rams, finally. Had a game-winning drive. 2 game-winning drives. One to tie the game, the other one to win it in overtime. This team can compete at this moment in the NFC based on how well-rounded they are in every facet of the game. Running back, wide receiver, defense, special teams. They're good. They're great, honestly, in every single department except their quarterback. I can't sit here and say Sam Darnold is great. He's had a good year. I'd say he borderline has a better year than he did last year with the Vikings. He looks better. He looks more confident in the pocket. He looks like he's more comfortable. His defense is bailing him out. Yes, bailing him out. But regardless, yes, his offensive line could be better. He could have a cleaner pocket. He shoulda, coulda, woulda. Can have a lot of things. But for what it last night showed me against a really good pass rush in the LA Rams, the Rams have a good pass rush. They have a very underrated pass rush. They have a young one, but they have a good one. That team will get after you, will cause havoc in your face if you can't control them, if you can't get the ball quick and crisp and on target, which is not something Sam Darnold is good at. There were multiple throws that side. Yes, he ended up connecting one of them later in the game in overtime to Cooper Kupp, but there was a throw late in that game after they tied that game where Sam Darnold had the ball, had a wide open Cooper Kupp, just ran a simple 15-yard curl route, beat the cornerback, had him on skates, and he just sailed him. Sailed him by sailed the ball 3 yards in front of him. Not even behind, in front. I know it was one pass. I know he still ended up winning the game. But these are the simple nitpicking moments that critics are going to show up and say, that play he didn't show up well. He threw 2 picks. He took 4 sacks. He was down 30-14 in the fourth quarter. That's what critics are going to say. That's not what I know. I'm saying it, but I'm just speaking for them. I guess that makes me a critic. Oh, well. This team can win it all. This team, I'm going to take that back. I don't know if I'm ready to say they can win it all. I still say the Rams. I'd still put the Rams and the San Francisco 49ers ahead of them because the Niners beat them earlier this year. I'd still put I'd give Eagles kind of an edge. The rest, I don't know. Packers maybe, but the Bears no, Bucks no, Panthers no. I wouldn't go that far. But in terms of the NFC, they can compete. They can cause teams problems. It'll go close. It'll go down to the wire. But this team might just get one of those Matthew Stafford game-winning drives put on them. One of those Brock Purdy game-winning drives where the other team just shows up and snatches their heart. And the reason why is because when they had the opportunity to put the ball, to put their foot on the Tiger's neck, they couldn't finish the job. You got to capitalize on your opportunities. When you're on 3rd and goal and Sam Darnold decides to throw a stupid pick, just throw it right at the linebacker's chest. I think the Seahawks should have lost that game. If it wasn't for that 2-point conversion, they probably would have lost that game. They wouldn't even gone to overtime. They ended up getting bailed out on one conversion that ended up tying the game, and then they got it in the end. They got it in overtime. Great job. You beat the Rams. Proud of you. That's a great first step. But you got to go out there and do more. You got to go out there and show up for your team. You got to capitalize on your opportunities. And that's the last word. Outside of that, I think these two teams are going to see each other most likely in the playoffs. They're going to be around for a while for the most part. These are two teams that played a really highly contested game. And it was unbelievable to watch. There's no doubt about that. But some wins just don't change standings. They change what a team believes is possible. Yeah, this is one of those situations where that's true. Seahawks showed up, and Sam Darnold didn't erase the critics, didn't erase his label, but he's starting to scratch it out. That was a good first step. If he can do that in the playoffs, different situation. Way different. But I need to see him do it. Seahawks clinch a playoff berth. We'll see him in the playoffs. And I'll probably be back here to see if there's any injury news going into next week. The Seahawks get a nice little break. They get a long week. Don't have to play on Sunday. Don't have to play all week until next Sunday when they travel to Carolina. Any banged up bodies, get rested. Get ready to go. And we'll see you guys in Carolina next. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.